Welcome into the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. Got a great show ahead for you today, folks. We've got Jessica Freeburg and True Crime Tuesday coming up in just a bit. But first, I had the pleasure of reading an exciting book this weekend. A book that was turned on to me by our good friend Alan Warren. And I got to tell you, I thought to myself, organized crime in Canada. Now, I've heard of it. I didn't know how dangerous it could be. Once I read this book, I realized I don't want to run across any Canadian gangsters. I know that much for certain. The name of the book is How It's Done, the true story of how one man took down organized crime to save his family. And I got a new perspective of a man by the name of Davelucas. And the book is written by a man by the name of Jerry Langton. I know you've heard of him because he's got plenty of interesting books out there, a lot of them having to do with motorcycle gangs. Jerry himself has a very colorful history. We'll talk about that here in a moment. Let me tell you a little bit about Jerry. He grew up in Hamilton, Ontario, where he wrote for the Hamilton Spectator. He also contributed to Maclean's. After he moved to New York, he became a deputy editor for the Daily News. Having returned to Toronto, Langton is a freelance writer, and I believe he's back in New York now, whose work appears regularly in the Globe and Mail and the Toronto Star. In doing research for his book, Pat, Homeworld's Most Notorious Rodent, cleaved its way to the top. He spent a lot of time in sewers meeting with rats face to face. I have to ask him about that. He's in New York currently. Ladies and gentlemen, Let's welcome in for the first time to True Crime Tuesday, Jerry Langton. Jerry, thanks for being with us today.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I'm really looking forward to this.
Now, you told me an interesting story before we jump into the book, which, by the way, I greatly enjoyed. And like I said, I'm never messing with anybody in Canada ever again. Not that I would have to begin with, but we have our share of hockey fights here in Minnesota. We'll just put it that way. You told me an interesting story about how you yourself got into a little bit of a scrum with some organized crime. Let's put it that way. Just innocently when you were a kid and they broke your nose.
Yeah. Well, people don't understand, Canadians like to pretend there's no crime in Canada, and Americans like to pretend there's no crime in Canada because it makes them think there's someplace great, serene. But there is actually plenty of crime there. It's just the homicide rate is a lot lower. And where I come from, Hamilton, Ontario, is sort of one of the two epicenters of organized crime in Canada. And it started with the Italian mafia. As a matter of fact, there was a town in Sicily called Recalmuto, which actually means like terrible place or something like that. And they picked up sticks and moved entirely to Hamilton and recreated everything that they had in Sicily. This is in the 1910s, 1920s. And they brought the mafia with them. And there were three major mafia families in Hamilton when I was growing up. And one of them, the Musitanos, were sort of on a lower scale than the other two. They made a lot of mistakes, had a lot of arrests, generally, they learned to be mafia guys by watching movies and TV rather than learning from the older guys. So anyway, my friends and I, like we did every Friday night, were putting on a dance, and it was very close to where the mafia guys were, and they decided, well, if there's money to be had, we should have it. And they walked in with baseball bats and demanded the money. And I was one of the guys who say, hey, you can't do that, and stuck my nose in and got my nose broken for it. And but it's funny now because people ask me all the time, are you scared? Are you scared writing about, criminals? And it hasn't been that bad. The bikers kind of appreciate me. As a matter of fact, the outlaws even recommended people read my books. But normally, if I see a Hell's Angel or someone on the street, I'll wave and they'll go, oh, yeah, how you doing, Jer? No hard feelings,
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, I was told that the reason the bikers don't mind me is, and this is how bikers speak, I don't make shit up, and I don't want to be one of them.
Okay.
Yeah,
so that balance.
Yeah. That kind of keeps them quiet. I think they like having someone that will tell their story, even if it's an ugly story.
Okay. Does
Yeah.
that, so it allows them to live in infamy? They get their name out there yet?
Well, sure. I mean, how many people have 300-page bestsellers about themselves? I mean, even if it's itemizing everything you did that brought you to prison, it's still, this is my book. This is my history. Yeah.
Right. Right. I guess, and I, okay, if I'm thinking like a gangster, okay, so you put that bestseller out there, and
Yeah.
and then from that bestseller, maybe you're going to sell movie rights. So I'm thinking, if I'm thinking like a gangster, maybe my name's in lights one day,
Yeah.
maybe you can get De Niro to play me. I don't know, and then I'm just my mind's racing.
Absolutely. And
Yeah,
that is what happens. Everybody thinks they're going to get rich and famous, but I'm the only one who makes money off it. So that's okay by me.
I guess, right? That, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. Maybe they think they're going to make something off of it, but they never do they?
Yeah. I've seen them try. I've been approached by the national president of two of the different motorcycle gangs there in Canada. I live in New York now, asking me to write their memoirs. And I had to say no because they wanted their memoirs to be all about what they did that was good. And, I don't break any laws. And it's like, obviously you break laws. I know you break laws. I've seen you break laws. So I didn't bother writing these books. I'd rather tell the truth.
Now, when they've approached you to write those memoirs, have they said, I won't mention any of the crimes I've done because I don't want to go back? Or
Some of them are that way. They'll be like, I was told that if you want to know who got killed, who got beaten up, and who got splashed, which is biker jargon for rape, you're not going to find that out. And I said, well, no, that's exactly what I want to find out. But they wanted to talk about their parties and their bikes and how they were just innocent people who made a lot of money off cocaine. Yeah,
and that would bore people to tears. I mean,
absolutely.
yeah, I mean that's
People
not much.
don't realize that.
Yeah, it's not much of a book.
Yeah,
I, I mean, I,
exactly.
that would be half of Sons of Anarchy, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that wasn't the part that people really look forward to watching either when they watch Sons of.
No, exactly.
Yeah. So I don't know that that would go over real big. I mean, especially for you.
Yeah, and the real bikers are never that good looking in real life.
Yeah, yeah, that's the other part too. Right, right. Well, that will bring me to my next question. So, how good of looking of a guy was Dave Lucas? I guess if it, we
Dave
want.
Lucas, yeah, he was. I mean, one of the things that really appealed his story is that he just looks like a regular guy. He doesn't. I mean, he's got tattoos, and he used to wear gangster clothes like the matching tracksuits and all the gold and everything like that. But when he is dressed normally, as you or I are right now, you wouldn't recognize him as a gangster. You would just think, mm, maybe a contractor or maybe a student teacher or something like that. He just seemed like, this normal kind of guy who would live next door.
The way you describe him in the book, Jerry, is he kind of reminds me a little bit of like another Lucas, Frank Lucas, in
Mhm.
your area of New York.
Yep.
The type of guy who was the on one side of things, sure, he was dealing blue magic, but on the other side, you know what? There's turkeys at Thanksgiving for the community. Or, you know what? If someone
Yeah.
goes against the community or someone's doing bad in the community, I'm coming after him.
And
He's
that's absolutely true of Dave. No, normally when you see something like a biker toy drive at Christmas, I hate to tell people, but it's actually a scam. You're buying toys for their children. And but he was a real sort of community leader, like the early mafia guys were, in that he settled disputes. He paid for things when people couldn't pay for it to keep their electricity on. They couldn't throw a party for their kid. He would be there to stand instead, and he would protect the people that he knew because he had a staff of tough guys who would do anything he said.
which I don't know if this is a way to put it. Is there such a thing as an admirable drug dealer? Because really you're doing destruction on one side, Jerry, and on the other, you're
Yeah.
trying to amend it. I mean, do those scales ever balance?
Well, I'm always a proponent of understanding, the concept of justice in context. And if you look at it, when Dave was 14 years old, he was homeless. He'd been kicked out of his home. He had nowhere else to go. Obviously, he couldn't be employed because he was only 14 years old, and he literally survived from the fact that his friends liked to smoke weed, and they would buy it from him, which would pay for his weed and would also pay for him to live. He needed to survive. So it's kind of a Les Miserables scenario there. How can you begrudge the guy selling weed if that's how he's going to live? But on the other hand, it accelerated into cocaine and heroin, which are a lot more destructive than cannabis ever could be.
Right.
And he wasn't doing it to survive anymore. This was a guy who was looking for places in his backyard where he could bury another bag of $100,000. You know, so the context kind of changed as he got older.
Well, he also kind of made it sound like I have to fill a need in my community too. When weed wasn't enough, when the community is going to cocaine and heroin, when the community decides, well, we're
Yeah,
stepping up our addiction, that we're going to heroin. Well, I've got
yeah,
to fill the need, or I'm gonna get phased out as a businessman. So as a businessman, I've got to go to heroin,
yeah.
right?
And that's what he did, because it became a career, and he knows what happens. I mean, we all know what happens when you sell crack. I mean, it's not very popular here anymore because we've all seen the effects of it. But in Southern Ontario, I was a few years behind, what's going on. And crack is still, the drug of choice for many people there, despite the obvious drawbacks. And Dave didn't even want to sell heroin until one of his customers, uh, he asked her where her boyfriend had been because he hadn't been around for a while. She said, well, he's over at the other dealers because he has heroin too. So, Dave felt that his hand was forced into the heroin trade.
And one of the things I think was kind of admirable too, about him, and I don't know if admirable is the word to use here. I'm using it,
Yeah.
Jerry, but there's even you wrote in the book that at one point she's I don't know if it's that same woman, but
Yeah.
she's leaving her kids or brought her kids along on a buy, and he basically admonishes her and says, "Don't you ever do that again," right?
Yeah, yeah. I think he might have threatened her with violence, but he definitely said that she was cut off as a customer if she ever brought the kids again. And you know what? She didn't. As you might expect from someone who was kicked out of both school and home at 14 years old, he was very conscious of children and how things affect them. So that was sort of his big onus in the community, is he wanted to take care of people's children. It didn't matter if an adult didn't have any food, but if the kids didn't, well, he'd have to step in. And the prime mover in the whole story of the book, the reason why it's an interesting narrative arc, is that he had no problem with being a career drug dealer. As a matter of fact, enjoyed it a great deal until his son was born. And then he realized, you know what? People don't retire from selling drugs. They're either dead in prison or, affected by their own supply. So he thought, you know what? I'm going to get out of it. And the best way he thought to get out of it was to act as an agent. And you happen to get a big pile of money if you do that successfully. So it was like a retirement plan for him.
So Jerry, where does this enlightenment come from with Dave? I mean, that's the one thing that I kind of found myself wondering. Here's a guy who, okay, so at 14,
Yeah,
he has to leave home. Here's a guy who he really doesn't. I mean, he doesn't go to college.
yeah,
He's not an educated man, right? So where does this enlightenment to look out for his fellow man,
yeah,
to kind of think outside the box, to have this caring for his fellow man, to look
yeah,
out for people other than himself, and to have this, I don't want to say it's not spirituality, but
yeah.
it's a faux spirituality, isn't it?
Exactly. The thing about Dave is he's a naturally very intelligent guy. Obviously he ran his business very well, and he speaks. If you met him, you thought that you would think that he might have a master's degree. That's how well spoken and well informed he is. But the circumstances were just that he got to a point where he thought he was happy, and then the circumstances changed. He had the kid, but you have to understand that even before that, he was very community minded. He always wanted to treat people with the golden rule, the way he wanted to be treated. And I don't know if you remember, but years ago, Saturday Night Live had a sketch in which Tim Robbins played the world's friendliest pimp. He was a pimp, but he was still a
Yes.
great guy,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
that's what Dave reminds me of. Sure, he's selling heroin, which is, terrible to the neighborhood. But if your kid needs a birthday party, Dave's going to pay for it,
Yeah.
and that that's interesting to me in context because that's often how organized crime starts is when a community feels that it's not being represented by the government or the mainstream and they want to rebel against it but they don't have the means to do so, they form their own sort of sub communities like when recent immigrants come to a big city, they want people who speak their language, understand their culture, and so if they build sort of a separate community, they kind of want to have people to make and enforce their own laws, mediate their own disputes. And that's how we get things like the mafia, because these sort of community leaders, they're not voted for, they're not governed in any way. They just decide, well, I'm a special guy now, so I can get special stuff. I want a free car. I want, my dry cleaning done by someone else. And that does happen because of the community leaders. And Dave was in that same mold. He was like, I'm an important guy. I have responsibilities.
Well, and that brings up another thing too, and that is even though he's doing this huge amount of dirt and he's doing damage to the community, his loyalty is at an all-time high. I mean, like you pointed out, if there's a kid that needs a birthday party, who's going to go against a guy who's giving birthday parties to small children? I
Oh,
mean,
it's on a really tiny minuscule scale. It's like Pablo Escobar, when he was he was in trouble, and obviously he had an army of lawyers to help him. But he said, if you leave me alone, or at least not extradite me to the U.S., I'll erase Colombia's national debt, which at the time was like I think it was $16 billion. And he just said, yeah, no problem. I'll clean that off the boards for you. But he had also, for decades, been supplying books and clothing and schools and things to the people of Colombia that the government wasn't, and so he was seen as a folk hero. And I think a lot of people have that mindset when they're being a gangster. You know what I mean? I'm also sort of Billy the Kid, John Dillinger, a celebrity, even if the celebrity is, just from one housing development, one suburb in Southern Ontario, you're still the important guy.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, it's that twisted morality that you know
Yeah.
what? Sure, I'm a sinner, but why kill the sinner if the sinner's trying to be a saint, right?
Yeah. Yep.
There's
St.
there's a
Augustine would be proud. Yeah.
yeah, my horns may be sticking through my halo, but hey, there's a halo there. So you know what? As long as I'm polishing it, don't kill
Well,
me.
people love to justify things to themselves. And it's like, I was dealt a bad hand. I couldn't go to school. I couldn't, have a home base to operate from. I've been a success. Wow. I must be really good at this. And, you know, they will often try to say, well, perhaps heroin is bad, but these are people who are going to use heroin anyway. If they get it from me, at least they're getting clean stuff. They're getting a place to use it. So they tell themselves these little things that, sort of justify their existence. But yeah, Dave turned his back on that as soon as his kid was born.
Well, and it's weird how people and I'm going to use the phrase here how people come to Jesus because they don't look at the other side of it, and that's this. They don't come to the side which is that people have died. People have died using the product, right? Or that that people have had their own families shattered as
Yeah.
a result, right?
Yeah, well, like I say, the rationalization is, um, if not me, then he'll get it somewhere else. So, I'm only providing a service. It's like, many cities now in Western Europe, Canada, the United States, they have safe zones for using injected drugs, and or buildings in which you can do it medically. Um, with medical observation, and that makes shooting drugs much safer, but it's still an illegal act. So the government or NGOs are stepping in to make sure that the people who take drugs are doing it in a way that will cause the least damage. And I think he sort of saw himself that same way. I can't stop the drug trade. These, you know,
Yeah.
I might as well just make it as easy as possible for these folks.
Right.
Yeah.
Tell you what, we'll take our break here. Dave Lucas is making money hand over fist, but decides, you know what? There's a way for me to, now that I'm having my son, which by the way, that's a whole nother tumultuous thing we'll talk about when we come back from the break. Now that I'm having my son, I got to figure out what I'm going to do here. He's run into trouble with the law, and we'll talk about that when we come back. He's got a son. The son's been born. He's run into trouble with his baby mama. That's what we call him here in America, right? Mama.
There too. Yeah.
Problems with baby mama. There's problems, now that he's got the son, and he's facing the law head on. We'll tell you with Jerry what's going on with the law, and he's got to figure out a way to escape a jail sentence. He's got to figure out a way to, one, try to stay out of jail if he can. He's got to come clean. He's got to be there for his son, and he's got to clean up his act. How's he going to do it? We'll talk about that with Jerry when we come back. The name of the book, and it's a wonderful one at that, How It's Done, the true story of how one man took down organized crime to save his family. We have a link in the description of this program. I encourage you to go get this book, folks. It is a wonderful book. Again, when we come back, we'll talk about Dave Lucas and how he gets out of this jam. It's an amazing story, folks. We'll talk about it when we come back next on True Crime Tuesday. Welcome back to the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. My guest is Jerry Langton. The name of the book, How It's Done, the true story of how one man took down organized crime to save his family. Jerry, when we left people last, Dave Lucas has a son. His son's been born to his girlfriend at the time. He's been dealing drugs. He's realized, I can't do this anymore, even though I'm making money hand over fist.
Mhm.
He has run into the law. Tell people what happened that he came across the law that kind of caught him red-handed.
Yeah, the problem with him is he'd always had run-ins with the law, like all of his life, but he was sort of expert at minimizing it. He'd spend a night in juvenile detention or whatever, and they all knew that he was selling drugs. They all knew that he ran the trap house and was getting rich selling drugs, but they just could not catch him. They couldn't figure out a way because he was smart about it. He had stash houses. He had various security measures so that the cops couldn't get him. And, it was a great self-sustaining enterprise. But, and he'll admit this, like anyone else, is that he got greedy. And when he was in, not really a halfway house, but, sort of a detention, not all the way to jail, he met another guy who happened to be a Russian mafia um, participant from just north of Toronto. And they got along really well and they worked together. The Russian would sell Dave's heroin, and the Russian would provide Dave with used cars and things like that they could sell mutually. Dave even got a 19-year-old girlfriend for the Russian, who I believe was in his late 50s, because that's what he wanted. And organized crime works well together. But the problem was that the Russian invited Dave and his best friend Melo over for dinner, or as he said, vodka and some fun. And they had a great time, but when Dave was there, he noticed that his host was showing him collections of Rolexes and Patek and other expensive watches and jewelry and bottles of liquor that were worth $70,000 each. And he just had so much bounty that Dave and Mello looked at each other and texted to each other, we're robbing this guy. And so they did. They tried. They actually took 3 attempts. And on the first two, Dave just sent some underlings to go, but they either chickened out or did it poorly. So on the third attempt, he went along so that he could observe. And they went in and they broke the safe out of the wall, brought it to the car, drove as fast as they could to Toronto, where Dave's sister lived, put the safe in the bottom, and they whacked it with hammers until it got open, and took all the loot out, gave the sister, her cut, and started driving back home to their town of Cambridge. Um, but one of the guys that he had hired to do the robbery with him, well, when they had the victims at gunpoint in the house, Dave was smart enough to collect all of their cell phones, and he told his assistant to throw them in the toilet, inactivate them. And the assistant did, but he happened to be a crack addict, and thinking like an addict, he lied and he said, "Yeah, I threw the phones away," but he actually put them in a bag so that he could sell them later. So when they were making the getaway, the cops knew there everywhere they were, every step of the way, because of the stolen phones. And you know they took them down in well, the takedown is now used to help teach young officers how to take people down. And Dave found himself face first in the muddy snow with a foot between his shoulder blades and a assault rifle pointed at his head, and was wondering, how did this all happen? And he realized that it was getting greedy, and that's what he went to prison for. Not none of the drugs, just this one lark of an armed robbery gone wrong that he wouldn't have even been involved with had they done it right the first two times. Um, and so he was in prison for that, and he kept thinking, how stupid of that was, how stupid of me was that? I'm a drug dealer. I'm not an armed robber. And all this time in prison, he's thinking, I got to go out and I have to do my job. And I have to do it right. And then his girlfriend told him, we're having a baby. And his
Oh,
world changed. It just took a 180-degree turn.
and at that point, he realizes a baby's never a mistake, but
Yeah.
he's made the mistake of overreaching with the armed robbery, and now well, it will end up being a mistake that he's had a baby with this woman.
Yeah.
Um, but it's never a mistake to have a child, but he's made the mistake of having it with her.
Yeah, I mean, the child himself is quite loved by both the parents, but uh, Dave knew that his mother was not the proper person to raise him, and despite having gone to prison for armed robbery and being a known drug dealer, Dave actually won custody of the son, because while they were sharing custody, Dave would get it for the weekends, and his new girlfriend would drive back and forth so that they didn't have to see each other. And one time the son said, I don't want to go back there anymore. And Dave asked why. He said, well, mom's boyfriend has guns. And Dave told the Children's Aid Society, and they said, well, the law says you have to give him back. We'll do something. And then while his girlfriend was bringing the son back to the old girlfriend's house, she couldn't do it because the place was surrounded by cops. And the Children's Aid said, come get your son. He's yours now. And the kid's far better off because the mom was dealing crack and opiates in a much sloppier way than Dave. And the boyfriend was a gun dealer. And so, that wasn't a good environment for the kid to grow up in.
Which is crazy, isn't it? I mean, what's even more, I guess, admirable when and again, I want to leave some of this for our listeners and viewers
Yeah.
of the program to climb onto and to read is just how far Dave had to come to get custody of his son. You know, that struggle of going from drug dealer who's looking after other people's kids
Yeah.
to having to actually get custody of his own.
Well, the whole thing is a series of sort of, Herculean tasks that Dave has taken on and succeeded at. I mean, most people find themselves out of school, out of a home at 14 years old. They don't immediately become a successful entrepreneur. And, he got to the point where he was extraordinarily wealthy, surviving on nothing but his wits and goodwill. And so when it came to um, custody, everybody told him, this is never going to happen. Custody always goes to the mother. You've been in prison for armed robbery. You're never going to get it. And he just didn't give up hope and kept working. And it was really a stroke of luck, dubious luck, that the baby's mother, baby mama, if you will,
Mhm.
she was sort of more of a criminal than Dave was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Irony of all ironies, right?
Yeah.
Um, the other stroke of genius, I guess, if you want to call it that, or just survival mode thought that comes to Dave is I've got to do something or I've got to use what I have in order
Mhm.
to go legit. And the one thing he has is knowledge, right? So he says to himself, I've got to use the knowledge I have to go straight.
Yeah.
So how does he do that? How does he take the knowledge he has and go straight?
Well, it's well known within organized crime that in Canada at least, that the government will pay you to become an agent. Usually, high six figures or low seven figures would be the absolute top, but it's still a lot of money for most people. And Dave realized that that could be his retirement fund besides all the cash he had buried. Um, and everybody knew he was a drug dealer. So the cops, when they talked to him throughout his career, would say, if you turn on them, if you tell us who's supplying you, you could be doing okay. And he never considered it, but then he thought, that's my way out. Someone's actually going to pay me to not sell drugs anymore and make life safe for my son. So the big problem with informants in Canada up to that point was that every single one of them turned informant when their life was in danger. They were only saving their own skins. And so, Canada would spend millions on testimony from these guys. And the courts would often say, well, no, you're just saying that to, save yourself. And so the testimony was usually compromised. And a lot of people walked free because of it. But Dave was different. He was the first one whose life wasn't in danger. He simply wanted a career change. And so just sort of the sober logic of it all, appealed to them, and he performed admirably.
In fact, there's only one incident where he has a little bit of anxiety. And it's weird that he even has that little bit.
Well, it's strange because the people in crime, they know they're being watched all the time. They're very, very, very careful. Like, for example, he laughs because even before he became a police agent, he realized that whenever anyone says anything about an illegal act, they always whisper it as though they're being recorded, even though they're not being recorded. And once they were, he realized how silly that was because they're going to record your whisper anyway. But they one of the people that he was investigating put a tracker on another undercover cop's vehicle because he thought he was suspicious. I mean, he was right because the guy was an undercover cop,
Mhm.
but he told Dave about it because he thought there's no way Dave could be on the other side. Um, and as it turned out, a lot of people felt that way that, no, Dave's too cool to turn. We know him, he's fine.
Yeah.
And, I guess he was a good actor because they all believed him.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Dave gets deeper into it seems like the government takes Dave deeper into the business than he really wants to go. I mean, he goes deeper in than he would have ever gone. I mean, he goes from deep or dealing, weed and cocaine and heroin to getting into woods.
Yeah, yeah. It got to the point where he was selling hand grenades and rocket launchers capable of, blowing up a tank. And that happened mostly at the direction of the police, the Ontario Provincial Police. That's who generally takes care of organized crime in Ontario. Um, they pushed him and pushed him, and a lot of that was because cops, although we like to think that they're pulled from the same rank and file as organized crime, they do have a different context in their head. They don't know exactly what is protocol or what is safe to do or safe not to do, so they would often ask him to do things that were a lot less safe than he wanted to, and he turned down a few things, but generally, he would live in the sort of stream of consciousness world that the other gangsters did. And they would ask him to do things like join their club. And he would accept because if you didn't, it would be a massive insult. Your life could be in danger. And the cops would get angry. They'd say, we didn't tell you to do that. Or we told you not to do that. And Dave would counter, I'm the one whose life is on the line here. If it makes sense for me to take that jacket from that club, I'm taking the jacket.
There's a part in the book where I found it incredibly funny. He goes to do an initial meetup with a contact, and they say, "Well, get one of those puffer jackets while you're in there." And he's like, "Why would I even get a puffer jacket?" And they're like, "Well, because we like to collect them for souvenirs." One of those stupidest things you could ever hear of, but it's funny how the cops are almost like a gang themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
operate like a gang themselves. They're almost like gang wannabes. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. Well, I don't know if they're wannabes, but they're a very similar group of guys. A lot of them are. A lot of cops are from the same recruiting pool. Generally, you see a lot of big, strong, tough guys who aren't going to get their doctorate and don't mind getting their hands dirty. Often they went in one of two directions, and that was police or organized crime. And it's stories like that that I really like in crime books because it reminds you that these are people. These are people These are people in your community. They're not from another planet. They do the same things we do. We have the same motivations. Like with those jackets, they like them, but they also used them as camouflage for their undercover people because that's what gangsters wore. Or the first time he met with his contacts, he shows up in I believe it was a Mercedes SUV, and he gets in their car to have their meeting, and they say, "Okay, well, give us your driver's license." And he says, "I don't have one. I never have." And they're like, "Oh, well, then don't let us see you ever drive again." And so they would leave early so they wouldn't watch him drive away.
So where's the fault line then, Jerry? I mean, because you've written plenty of these books, where's the
Yeah,
fault line between good and evil, between the cops and the bad guys here? I mean,
yeah,
it seems like, that when they operate, I
yeah,
mean, there's the law, obviously, and there's breaking the law, right?
yeah,
But it seems like when you get to a certain standard, when you get to a national level and you get
yeah,
to the guys who are breaking that law,
yeah.
it seems like there's a little bit of play on the good side and there's a little bit of play on the bad side. And then sometimes they step over those lines, right?
They absolutely overlap. I wouldn't say it was a battle between good and evil as much as it is a battle of believing the law or not believing in the law. And there were a lot of people who, break the law in what they think is a righteous way. Like, for example, when cannabis was illegal, selling it was like, well, it's actually good for people. A lot of people tell themselves, so, I'm actually doing a good thing. And of course, the line blurs. I mean, I'm from Hamilton. I know tons of cops who have, stolen evidence or kicked the crap out of someone who they shouldn't have. Um, and they are often from the same pool, but there's one distinct difference, and that is the people who join the police believe in the law. They believe in the government. They believe in, this is how things should be done. And the people who are in organized crime say, well, those laws don't help me. They help people who are already established, people with money, people who are part of the mainstream. I need something else. And so that's where their communities come from. Cocaine might not be good for you, but neither is McDonald's. We still all do it. People have different levels of rationalization. Like you might be a mafiosi who, gets a contract with a new amusement park to handle all the food, right? Mm-hmm. You would make big money, but you'd make even more money if you sell them expired meat without telling them. And, that's happened a couple of times in Canada. And I know of, places where, dozens, if not hundreds of people have gotten ill from tainted meat just because the mafia said, yeah, we can save a few bucks.
Yikes. Yeah. It's an interesting line to draw, my friend. That's
that, yeah.
And that's where that line it sits. It seems like that line never wavers either. That's for sure. Well, I tell you what, why don't we leave it there? I want people to read this book because it's an incredibly interesting book, and it
was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah. To see where Dave ends up at the end of this, because, you see the stereotypical what happens to mafioso biker gangs that flip, right?
Yeah.
We have our ideas from Hollywood as to what happens to them at the end. You'll be very interested to see what happens with Dave at the end. We'll put it that way. And I'll leave you on that cliffhanger, my friend, so you go get this book, because you need to see what happens with Dave Lucas at the end here. The name of the book is How It's Done, the true story of how one man took down organized crime to save his family. It's incredibly interesting. Jerry Langton, I want to thank you so much for being on the program. I want to bring you back on and let's do some of your other books as well, because my friend, you're incredibly talented. And
thank you.
There's it's just, this book is so fascinating, and I'd love to get into some of your other books as well. So
sure. I'll keep you aware. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, and thank you for being on, Jerry. I greatly appreciate it. Folks, go get the book. We have a link in the description of this program. And again, look forward to visiting with you further in the future, Jerry.
Excellent. Thank you. I'll be there.
Thank you. Folks, it's time now for us to lighten things up a little bit. It's time now for us to bring in Jessica Freeburg. It's time now for Dumb Crimes and Stupid Criminals.
It's Crayon News story time.
What happened with this dude, Christ Bearer? I heard he cut his penis off and then jumped off a balcony.
Suspect pulls gun from butt, shoots twice at Denver police.
What is your emergency?
I need help.
And what's the problem?
I'm too high.
You're too high?
Yeah.
It's that time again, the time you've all been looking forward to. Of course, it's time now for Dumb Crimes and Stupid Criminals. And with that, I need a co-hostess. And so I reach my grubby little paw that's been out there getting seeds and peanuts and all that other stuff for the chipmunks. I reach that grubby little paw across the Twin Cities, and I reach out to my co-hostess, one who has shattered records all across Europe and Asia and anywhere else where they keep charts for records for books and bestsellers, anywhere from the Hindustan Times to the Shanghai Shangri-La. Ladies and gentlemen, here she is. She's intelligent. She's witty. She's easy on the eyes. And by gosh, she knows her way around a tome. Here she is, Jessica Freeburg. Jess, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm glad you're reaching out to me with grubby, dirty paws.
Yeah. Grubby, dirty little seedy paws.
Get out my hand sanitizer and squirt you down next time I see you.
Probably need some Purell. Yeah, or at least, if not a good, I don't know, some sort of sanitizing alcohol wash.
Just wash your hands, sir.
Well, yeah, I should have probably scrubbed up before I came down. But I was running late. Gotta
yeah, well.
But I've seen more birds than I have chippers this year. Tweety is back. I didn't tell you. Tweety. Yeah. Tweety was keeping me company yesterday as I was reading outside. It's been gorgeous the last couple of days.
Oh, I'm loving it.
Yeah. It's 77.
This whole week. I think it's going to be almost 80 on Friday, and it's my daughter's last outdoor track meet. So I'm
Great.
here for it.
Yeah. It was what, 70 something yesterday. It was gorgeous outside. I was reading Jerry Langton's book outside, and I as much as you can read on Speechify, but it was reading back to me. I had my headphones on, and Tweety came up, and I have a Finch feeder, and Tweety came up and was eating out of the Finch feeder and looking at me, just kind of staring at me, wondering what I was doing. And I just said, "Hi there, Tweety." And then I still have these cardinals that come up and just cheep at me. They just cheep and sing to me, and I don't know. Either they're partial to me, Jess, or I'm about to kick the mortal coil, one or the other, because they I don't know, they can't stop talking to me. So I don't know what the deal is, but either that or
I think they just like you, Tim.
I got ghosts right behind me, and they're trying to warn me there's a ghost behind you. So
That could be. You never know.
I don't know what's going on, but the Cardinals are always cheaping at me. Either that or they're trying to warn me that they're eating all the seeds and I need to fill the dishes again.
Yeah, they're like, more food, please.
Yeah. Put more food in the dish.
So we have a bird feeder right outside my office window here. And so I just watch birds all day long, and we have all different kinds that come. They're so cute. And then we have this duck couple that comes every day. It's a boy and a girl. They just waddle on over and they pick the food, and then they look up at the bird feeder like, how do we get up there?
You got to
But
build
I mean, it's every single day they're out there. I'm just like, they're so cute. I guess they were in our garage yesterday. Our neighbor hollered over, "You've got 2 ducks in your garage." I'm like, that's okay. They're friends.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the every once in a while the bunny comes in the garage and is startled when I walk in the garage. Like if I startled the bunny one day when I walked in the garage. Like the bunny went, "You're in here too." Like, yeah, I kind of own the place. He's kind of like, "Oh shit."
Oh, busted.
Whoa. Well, I was gonna borrow your shovel, but I guess not anymore, huh? You know,
Gonna rob you blind, but you caught me.
it's gonna take your weed eater, but guess not. Guess we won't be doing that anymore.
Oh, I love the bunnies in our yards. I think they're so cute, but our dogs eat the poo, and they poo giant piles every morning we go out there. And I'm like, I think there's more rabbit poop out here than there is dog poop, which is really saying something.
Yeah, they leave a lot
They
to be done.
do.
Yeah.
And then the dogs just are like, "Oh my gosh, can you believe someone left us all this candy out here? This is amazing."
Great black jelly beans.
Was
Yeah.
they're not Cocoa Puffs, you freak.
Right. Stop eating it.
They love them though. Ugh.
I haven't seen the baby bunny yet. I haven't been to the backyard, but there's a baby bunny back there.
Oh, is it
Yeah.
baby bunny time already? I guess they do come in the spring, don't they?
Yep. There's a little baby bun back there. I need to start leaving food back there for the baby bun. But I got
Yes.
baby bun food for the baby bun. So
What does a baby bunny eat?
they make special little baby bun pellets you can, and then there's
Okay.
also some there's a mixture of food that's like little corn, little raw corn, and there's like a wild
Okay.
animal mix you can
Yeah.
pick
Did
up.
you know we had a pet bunny in our house a while
Yeah?
ago?
Really?
Yeah. His name was Joey Snowball Sprinkles because each kid got to give him a name.
Oh wow, that's a mouthful. Yeah.
And we had a Vizsla too. So, and he's a hunting dog. He would kill the bunnies in the backyard. We wouldn't want him to, but he would. It was just his natural instinct. So when we brought this bunny home, we went out horseback riding at a farm one day, and they had the cutest little California bunnies, and they were raising them to eat. But they had this one that was gray, and he was so cute, and we were holding him, and the lady's like, "You can have him." And my husband's like, "Oh, that's okay. We don't." And we're like, "Okay, thanks." So we just drove home with this random bunny. Oh, he was the best.
Our guest today that was on our program has a very interesting book that he's working on,
Yeah.
having to do with, I don't even know if I should say it, but I'm going to have him on the program about this very dog lovers are going to hate this program.
Oh no.
But it's a very interesting topic. It's
I'm
about,
a dog lover, but what is it?
I am too. And it absolutely turned my stomach when I heard it, but I'm intrigued about the program.
Oh, now I'm scared.
It's about, you want me to tell you?
Yeah, I do.
Now that I've got everybody on the hook about it, it is a crime. Oh gosh.
Not about eating dogs, is it?
Yes.
No.
It's about the Chinese market for dogs and how they, but this is it will get you to watch your dog more carefully.
Mhm.
It's about how they harvest dogs in America and send them to China. And how there's one guy here in America who claims he's rescuing these dogs. And I'm see the air quotes here.
Yeah, air quotes. Yep.
How he claims he's rescuing these dogs from China, but he's not really. What he's doing is he's buying back these dogs from China in these squalid conditions and then bringing them over to a warehouse and then reselling them. But they've got all these different mental issues because they've been abused.
Oh.
And it's just this horror story. And Jerry is actually breaking the story on this for the magazine he works for. But they're turning
That's
it into a
terrible.
book. But it's yeah. But he's going to come back on the program and when the book is finished and talk about it. So
Well, I'll be listening and holding my puppies and crying. Wiping my tears in their big fluffy ears.
but it's Phoebe's out of the room right now, right?
Well, she's sleeping on a heated blanket right now. She
Okay,
is
good.
oblivious to anything other than whatever she's dreaming about.
Hopefully she doesn't hear any of that little bit of conversation, but
Oh, that's terrible.
yeah, I was like, are you fucking with me right now? And he's like, no, he said, think of it this way. It's the way that you can't get Americans to stop eating pork. He said, you can't get the Chinese to stop eating dog. That's the, and I'm like,
It's a cultural thing, but
I'm like, that's a stereotype, isn't it? And he goes, no, it's absolutely not.
I remember when I was a kid, someone stole our dog. I lived out on a farm, and my brother said somebody stole it and they're eating it. I think I was like 5 years old, and I was mortified. I didn't have anything nice as a kid. You know, we lived in a trailer, and we we didn't have very much, but we had this beautiful dog that looked like Lassie, and a car pulled up. It didn't run away. We saw a car pull up, and then the dog barked, and then it was
Oh.
gone. And someone literally stole our dog. My brother was like, "Someone took it to eat it."
Oh no.
So just hearing you say that just brought back so many childhood trauma emotions.
Yes, no, I'm sorry. I didn't
Maybe
know.
they really did take my dog and eat it, Tim. Oh my gosh.
No. Well, I'm sure it was
Wow.
tasty. I mean, no, I mean, no, I'm sorry. No, I didn't mean that.
Oh, it's so bad. Anyway,
Anyway,
wow. What a way to start the show.
I know. I didn't mean to get off on the wrong foot there. I mean, I'm sure there's a wrong foot to eat, but there is. Oh God, that just disgusts me. But I was just like,
I know.
ah.
Yeah, you don't think about that as being, but you hear that and you think, no, they don't do that. But that's just the way you're raised. It's like what you're accustomed to eating, like I don't know. But dogs just seem like I feel like my dogs are more human than some humans that I know.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I
Uh, I don't know. I can't imagine.
just couldn't. There's just no way. Especially when they run up to you with that little face and then.
But a lot of animals are like that. Pigs are I mean, they can become like part of your family. I have two cousins that have pet pigs, like big old pet pigs in their house. Like they're like a dog. They're very loving. They're super smart. And like who doesn't like to eat bacon?
The pig up at the Palmer, right? The pig that was laying on the
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
I don't know. Tofu for me.
Tofu for you. Yeah, exactly. I just got done having chicken for lunch.
Chickens are also very smart and friendly.
Dinosaurs, though. I just keep telling myself they're dinosaurs. They'll kill me before I kill them. That's the way
Well,
I.
if they're a rooster, roosters might kill you. They aren't ornery.
Yeah. See, I just keep telling myself they're dinosaurs. They'll kill me before I kill them. That's how I can eat them. So
Whatever gets you through the day, Tim.
that's right. It gets me through the day. Exactly. Well, let's jump into our stories today, Jess.
Right.
This is the everyone's getting naked edition of Dumb Crimes, Stupid Criminals. When we get to not safe for work territory, everyone's losing their clothes. So that's
Awesome.
yeah. Well,
We're streaking.
we're streaking through the quad today. That's what we're doing on the not safe for work edition. But in the meantime, we'll keep our clothes on and we'll get through the first part of this deal, at least hopefully, I guess is what we're doing here. We'll start off in the town of Chester in New York, where evidently it's more dangerous than usual to DoorDash.
Oh no, don't freak me out because my son's gonna DoorDash this summer.
Okay, earmuffs then.
Okay. Go ahead, freak me out. I'm always freaked out.
Boy, I didn't know that either. I am just scaring the hell out of you everywhere I go today, aren't I?
So much trauma when I come on this show, Tim.
I'm like the boogeyman to you today, aren't I? I'm just
sending you my therapy bills. It's fine.
yes, right. I guess I'm paying for the first 6 months of therapy. We go to the town of Chester, where the highway superintendent, John Riley, was arrested. Yes, it was the town of Chester highway superintendent who was arrested on Saturday night for allegedly shooting a DoorDash driver at his home.
What?
Yeah, and he really didn't have a good reason why.
What was his reason?
Well, according to a preliminary investigation conducted by the state police, the victim was working as a DoorDash delivery driver and attempting to deliver food to a residence in the Valerie Drive neighborhood in the town of Chester at about 9 p.m. when he became lost and unable to navigate using his app. There's a lot of words of caution for the young man. Listen carefully to this story, Jess. The victim had approached several homes asking for directions. Mistake number one, evidently, when you live in upstate New York. Before arriving at the residence of Riley, Riley told the victim to get off his property before firing multiple shots at the victim as he attempted to leave in his vehicle, striking the victim once in the back, causing serious physical injuries.
What the heck? Why do you just unload your gun on someone?
Right. Talk about being wound too tight.
That's crazy. Do they have laws in New York that you can just do that? Like, I feel like
evidently not, because this man's in custody.
Oh, good, because that's not really stand your ground.
No, that's not stand your ground at all. Going up and going, how do I get to, and then wham, wham, wham is not.
Are these tacos yours? Boom.
Right. No, I mean, just tell the young man, well, you probably, this isn't the right house. You probably want to go that way. Or I have no idea, son,
Or just get off my property. I'm a lunatic, but you don't have to shoot him.
Why not just take out your iPhone and put in the address and say, you need to go that way, right?
That's crazy.
I mean, just be helpful. It takes 5 seconds to be helpful, right?
I wonder what goes through someone's mind though, like that. Because, there's been other stories like that where people have shot people who've like accidentally come to their house not meaning to. Like what is it like inside your brain that you're so afraid that that's your natural reaction?
I can see someone who's like been in combat and has PTSD. I get that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's not much of an excuse, but there's that. But then you have people who are just rageaholics. There's that deal. I mean, there's different psychological things that go on there. There's antisocial people. There's but come on. I mean, it's nothing. Just someone who comes up accidentally with a food delivery and says, "Well, I don't."
I hope that guy's going to be okay. That's so terrible.
Well, the DoorDash driver was taken to Garnett Health in the town of Wallkill, where he underwent at least one surgery. I mean, that's how bad it was. It got him in the back. Riley is a federally licensed firearms dealer, so he should know better. He's had gun safety training. He was arraigned at the Orange County Centralized Arraignment Part and remanded to the Orange County Jail in lieu of $250,000 cash, $500,000 bond, or $750,000 partially secured bond. A preliminary hearing is scheduled for May 9th at 9:00 a.m. in the town of Chester Court. Now, Riley's attorney, Amir H. Sagini, said that his client fully cooperated with members of the New York State Police in its investigation. Sagini declined further comment. The 48-year-old Riley has entered a plea of not guilty. How you plead? Now, I realize it's a formality. You do, of course, you
Right.
plead not guilty, but you're caught red-handed.
Yeah. You did it.
You did it. I mean, now I'm going to show you a picture of this guy who shot the DoorDash driver. He looks like, pardon my language, a Class A prick. I mean, that's just all there is to it. He looks like the kind of guy he looks like a military guy.
He does. Yeah, he
Not
does.
saying all military guys are Class A pricks. I'm not.
No, they're definitely not. But he looks pretty serious.
But he looks like a Class A drill sergeant prick, is what he looks like. He looks like a guy who probably enjoys putting people's faces in the mud.
Yeah, like a bully.
Yeah.
Like he was the guy handing out wedgies in middle school.
Yeah, exactly. He looks like he just loves giving people a hard time. Town of Chester Supervisor Brandon Holdridge declined to comment on the incident. The Bureau of Criminal Investigation is continuing its investigation in coordination with the Orange County District Attorney's Office and Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, or the ATF. Yeah, I'll throw the book away on him, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah,
I agree.
There's no excuse for shooting a door.
No, that guy's just out there trying to do his job. Like, just trying to make some money so he can live.
And let's face it, if you're out in any area that gets poor shit reception, let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
The DoorDash app doesn't work.
Yeah. There's a lot of areas like that.
Yeah. So, and the kid got lost. And let's face it, a lot of people drive with a GPS or an app these days. Not a lot of people are using paper maps.
No, like my son was supposed to go to someone's house he lived on a lake and his phone got broken. And he's like, well, I guess I can't go. Because he's like, I can't get there. There's no way to travel without my
paper map, kid. You use a paper map.
Oh my gosh, Logan.
Yeah.
You could have never survived in the 80s and 90s. Come on, man.
Yeah, just there's a little atlas book you can use.
Yeah, a lot of those people doing DoorDash, a lot of them are younger and they don't know how to navigate without
GPS or
without their GPS. They've never had to do it.
Yeah. It's funny. I mean, it's funny to think about, but yeah. We used to use these things called map books. They're kind of fun. Yeah. Holding the map book with one hand, driving with the other.
For the longest time, I would say, I'm going to have to map quest it. I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah. You just, print out a map and go, right?
Like that's distracted driving at its finest when you're like holding a piece of paper and you're trying to read.
Yep. Yeah.
There were no laws against it, though. It's how we all traveled.
That's right. Now, you know what? Now you could get busted for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are the cops going to do when you're map questing something?
Yeah. What are they going to do when I have my map spread out in front of me and I'm trying to find the road I'm on while I travel down the road?
Right. You can't.
My dad used to do.
Right. You can't get upset about that. I'm just trying to find my way, officer. Just saying. Our next story is in Vermont. Our next victim is in Vermont, I should say. Although our next victim is an inanimate object.
Oh, good. Makes me feel better.
This one is short and stout, both the story and the victim. A truck driver has been cited for allegedly hitting a Vermont covered bridge.
Oh.
There's been damage, but it's only been to our hearts, as Vermont covered bridges are kind of nice to look at.
They're beautiful.
They are. A historical Vermont covered bridge was badly damaged by a box truck last Wednesday. State police say around 8:15 a.m., a truck driver hit the Williamsville covered bridge in Newfane. They say the driver took off and was found a half hour later in Dover.
It was a hit and run.
The hit and run on a covered bridge. Well, you know what, Jess? You don't ever want to be caught with your pants down in Dover.
No.
That's what they say. Police say the driver was 49-year-old Bay Van Nguyen of Lowell, Massachusetts. He was cited for leaving after the accident, among other charges. He's due in court in June. How can you just hit a covered bridge and run? It's horrible.
Sure, he just panicked.
Oh, and then ran.
Oh, I'm so stupid.
So stupid. In the middle of the morning, I hit it. It's probably half asleep. That's what it was. All right. What would you do to meet your idol? What extremes would you go to meet your idols?
I don't really have an idol.
No?
I can't think of anyone I'd do anything crazy to meet.
You don't have like a famous author you'd go to extremes to meet?
No, I feel like my biggest fangirl person would be like Stephen King.
Okay.
When I had the opportunity to go have dinner with him and a group of people when he was in town, and I was like, I just can't. I don't have time.
Really?
Yeah, my kid had like a show she was in, and I had to like drive her to it, and I was like, I just can't coordinate. I just can't do it. So, yeah.
So
So I guess nothing, Tim. The answer is nothing.
Nothing. Yes, nothing. Well, one man doesn't feel that way, Jess. He's obsessed with firefighters and decided, you know what? I need to meet me some firefighters. So what's the best way to meet a firefighter?
Start a fire.
You got it. He put on a little Billy Joel, little we didn't start the fire, then started a fire with his own home just so he could see his idols.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a little bananas.
Yeah, they're little bananas. That's quite the banana. Not only that, but he has a famous name. So get ready for this.
Okay.
A UK man has been given a suspended prison sentence after admitting to setting fire to his own home twice in one night. Yes, just so he could see firefighters in action.
And he wasn't like an 8-year-old. He was like a grown man.
No. He's 26 years old. Arsonists are obsessed with fire, but 26-year-old James Brown hit me. Mm-hmm.
I almost blew my tea out my nose.
It was hot. Yeah. 26-year-old James Brown from Northumberland in the UK has been described as having an obsession and a fascination with firefighters rather than fires. In an ideal world, he would be a firefighter himself, but things didn't work out that way. He just settled for admiring firefighters from a distance. I bet he has. And calling the fire department incessantly. When that wasn't enough anymore, he moved on to setting his own house on fire just to see the firefighters in action. Now, on the evening of September 9th of 2023, the fire brigade was sent to his home on 11th Avenue in Ashington after the owner called emergency services to report a fire. He said sparks were coming from the electricity meter, and some of his textile bed linens in a cupboard had caught fire. Firefighters ended up putting out a small fire and disconnecting the electricity supply just to be sure. Only 90 minutes later, Brown once again called the fire brigade to report another fire. Now, if it were the real James Brown, I would have loved to have heard the phone call. The second time, firefighters had once again put out bedding that had caught fire. They got to be thinking it's self-started at this point, right?
Right.
Only when they asked the homeowner about the cause of the fire, he once again blamed the electricity meter. This didn't make sense because the electricity to the house had been disconnected by the firefighters, so they started to suspect that the fire had been started deliberately. According to court records, James Brown hit me, filmed the firefighters as they rushed to put out the fire and seemed quite enthusiastic by their presence on the property. A simple background check showed that the 26-year-old man had called the fire department 80 times in the previous 12 months.
Holy cow.
He's a little excited by firefighters, yes.
Just get a calendar, buddy, and hang it up and be
Right.
satisfied.
The ones with the guys with no shirts on holding the puppies. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's so many reels you can watch. My girlfriend send them to me all the time.
Oh, really? They like firefighters too?
Yeah, everyone likes a firefighter, but we're not setting our house on fire.
They probably just admire the good job they do. That's probably what it is. And Brown himself eventually pleaded guilty to 2 counts of arson while being reckless as to whether life was endangered. Boy, oh boy. You have said in an ideal world you would be a firefighter, and you have a long-standing interest in the fire service. It's clearly an obsession, Judge Robert Adams recently said during his ruling. Your primary interest seems to be contacting the fire service rather than setting fires. You waste the resources of the fire brigade, which could be used for more important matters where lives are in danger. I hope you've learned a lesson, the judge went on to say. Last month, James Brown was sentenced to 8 months suspended sentence for 2 years with 150 hours of unpaid work for his 2023 crimes. His lawyers said he is extremely remorseful. I don't think calling 80 times is exactly extremely remorseful, and is currently seeking help for his obsession. He has refrained from contacting the fire department since his arrest.
He feels really bad about it, and he's definitely not going to do it in 2 weeks.
That's right.
Again.
He'll wait at least 3 before calling them again. Well, in this case, Jess, in this next story, we are not going to call just the police. We're going to call the fashion police as well.
Ooh.
Well, sometimes we can commit 2 crimes in one.
I commit fashion crimes every day.
Yeah, me too. I'm not exactly hip to the square, or whatever the kids say. Suspected tricycle thief's fashion sense is also a crime, according to DeSoto deputies. We're going to Arcadia, Florida, where the DeSoto County Sheriff's Office is offering a criminal fashion tip. Tiger print is not the new camouflage.
It's not.
No, evidently not.
It doesn't hide you, huh?
No, it doesn't. Deputies are looking for a woman who they say stole an adult tricycle from a residence on Southeast Plum Drive. She was seen on a doorbell cam wearing a tiger print onesie.
I love everything about this story. First of all, an adult tricycle, we are getting those.
Yes, yeah. But no tiger print onesies. I will stop there. Yeah.
I think my daughter has one I could just borrow.
Really? Tiger print onesie, you say? Thanks to social media, the suspect was quickly identified as Emily Hesters. According to the sheriff's office, attempts to locate her have been unsuccessful. Her voicemail is full. Her old address says she's not welcome, and the tricycle remains missing, the sheriff's office posted on social media. Boy, she is a fugitive, if ever a fugitive has.
Oh my God, a fugitive on an adult tricycle.
Yes, yeah. Wonder if there's an adult diaper that goes with that adult tricycle. Charges for petty theft are being sent to the state attorney's office. Believe it or not, the sheriff's office did issue this statement. Try not to giggle as I read it. If you spot someone riding off in a tiger onesie on a tricycle, call 863-993-4700. Seriously.
Yeah, they're not joking around.
Have you ever picked up the old phone and went, holy shit, someone's riding off in a tiger onesie on a tricycle, and then dialed the number? Has that ever crossed your lexicon ever?
No, I would get out my phone, but I'd probably just be recording it and then I'd put it on Facebook.
Right? Yeah, I might videotape it and send it to the cops and go, caught her. But I don't, yeah, I wouldn't perform a citizen's arrest. That'd be too much energy. I would need a
Be
nap.
laughing too hard.
Right? Tiger onesie on an adult tricycle. Is that like the one
might be
the big wheel?
Yeah, it has to be, right? Like just a giant with a little seat.
Yeah, with the Like the big 1920s tricycle? Is that what we're
This is
talking
like one of my favorite stories you've ever read me.
about? Oh, I haven't, we haven't gotten to the next one yet. There's always room for improvement.
I'm
What's
Googling adult tricycles right now, and I'm buying us each one.
By the way, I have not got us our come and go t-shirts yet. I've meant to, but then as I think about it, this next story comes up.
Okay.
Driver blames come and go crash on his Crocs. Evidently, someone's assaulted our come and go.
Oh no, and it's all the Crocs' fault. I knew I hated those shoes.
Right. So evidently, we should not be wearing Crocs when we're pedaling our adult tricycles, but a tiger onesie's okay.
Oh
Were you ever into the Crocs? Those I know,
no.
I know Brett Favre was when he was on the toilet, but that's a whole other thing.
Really?
That's a masturbation joke. That's a not safe for work.
Oh. No, they weren't cool when I was young enough to. I would never wear them as an adult. I don't know. It's fine if you do. I'm not judging you.
Yes, you are. You're judging right now.
You just don't like them.
I know a bunch of guys just went like this.
I have to buy them for my daughter all the time, and I'm just like, why am I paying money for these? They're so ugly.
Your daughter wears them?
Oh, she went through a big Croc. I don't know if she wears them now. She's in high school, so maybe they're out of fashion. But since
So
like last year, she definitely had to have Crocs.
the jelly shoes went bye-bye? Was that 20 years ago, 30 years ago?
Jelly shoes were my era, and
I was
those were
gonna say.
cool.
Yeah. Those were what, 30, 40?
Yeah, that was the 80s, baby.
Was it? Didn't they make a
Mhm.
comeback?
Oh, I think they're back right now. I saw some at Target yesterday.
I thought so. I was going to say, didn't they make a comeback?
Yeah, because I was like, should I buy those? The little girl inside of me wants them.
Yeah. Say, I know I'm not out of it. I mean, I'm out of my mind, but I'm not out of it.
Yeah, I could wear my jelly shoes with my onesie.
With your tiger onesie.
Yeah, and I feel like you could really go fast in your jelly shoes on an adult tricycle.
Probably could.
Yeah.
You could probably break the sound barrier.
Keep your feet nice and cool because the air gets in there.
See,
Yeah.
I'm thinking. This guy didn't go very well. He went relatively fast. He crashed into a come and go in his Crocs. A Missouri man who fled the scene after crashing his truck into a come and go into their front windows claimed his Crocs got caught in the pedal, causing him to accelerate into the business.
I believe it. They're a hazard.
They really are. Well, a fashion hazard, too. Cops say security footage recorded 60-year-old Dale Hammett slamming his 2012 Dodge Ram, that's why it's named the Ram, into a convenience store in late February. Hammett immediately backed up and left the scene without providing any information. It was a hit and run on a come and go.
Really? We had a hit and run on a bridge. You can't just hit giant things and then just drive away like it didn't happen. Like, people are going to notice that you did that.
You think? The crash resulted in damages of $3,720 in the Springfield come and go. Dun, 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 dun. It was Springfield, Missouri, which is about a half mile from the Hammett's residence. So, by the way, he only had to go a half mile home and hide his truck. Do you think they would have found him?
Yeah, you're not getting away with that, sir.
The cashier just went, "Hey, that's Dale who just ran into the come and go. Hey, Dale, come on back, pay for this, won't you?" In the immediate aftermath of the crash, Hammett twice returned to the store, driving the same truck, by the way, and entered the business, where he spoke with an employee and never claimed to be the driver.
Wow, he's just really going to pretend like it never happened.
That never happened. No, that wasn't me. Will you ring up my coffee, by the way? That wasn't me.
Never mind, my front of my car all smashed in out there.
That's not my truck. Hammett even looked at the security video of the original incident with the worker. No, that wasn't me. That was my cousin. That wasn't me. By the way, when a cop arrived on scene, Hammett denied being the driver and his truck being the one involved. However, security video linked Hammett and his vehicle to the crash.
Did his Ram truck really not have damage on the front of it after driving into a come and go? This is a good like commercial sales for those trucks if they're that tough.
There's this little thing called the license plate. I don't know if he knows this or not.
Yeah, you're gonna get caught in the video. I would think if I drove into a building with my car, you would just be able to see it
Or
on my car.
see my face, right? You're not
Yeah.
John Cena, right? I mean, yeah. When later questioned at his home, Hammett reportedly confessed and stated he was driving in his Crocs and they got caught in the pedal, causing him to accelerate into the building. Hammett added that he had freaked out and fled the come and go. By his Crocs getting stuck in the pedal, it meant that he had drank a whole bottle of Jack. And
I
then,
would think, yeah.
yeah,
And then to come back, but I freaked out and I ran home, but then I realized I was coming here for something, so I came back.
right. Yeah. When later questioned at his home, Hammett, I read that part. According to an April 10th criminal summons, Hammett had been charged with leaving the scene of an accident where property damage exceeded $1,000, which, by the way, is a felony. He's scheduled for a May 14th circuit court hearing. If convicted of the Class E felony, Hammett faces between 1 and 4 years in custody, as well as a maximum fine of $10,000.
Think they'll let him take his Crocs to prison?
Strange things happen to you when you wear Crocs in prison, Jess. Yeah. Court records do not include a further description of Hammett's footwear or whether the Crocs in question were outfitted with any of these horrendous charms right here. By the way, you can put weird charms on Crocs. Did your daughter do any of this?
Oh, yes, we have so many charms for her Crocs.
Yeah, there's a lot
It's so dumb.
charms on the Crocs.
Yeah.
What kind of charms does she have on the Crocs?
Oh, all different kinds. I know she has a couple little pigs on there because she's obsessed with pigs and SpongeBob. Couple SpongeBobs.
Oh, okay. SpongeBob's cool. All right.
Yeah, we love SpongeBob.
Okay. Cool style points for that. Yeah. All right. Not that I'm judging, but when was the last time you were pulled over by a cop?
Oh, I really think the last time I was pulled over by a cop was when Logan had to have been about 5. So,
Okay.
you
Last
know,
time
18 years ago.
okay. It's been a while. The last time you were pulled over by a cop, did he ask for a loan?
No.
No. Last time I was pulled over for a cop or by a cop, I was not asked for a loan either.
And I feel like if you offered one, you'd get in trouble.
Well, you would think, right? You would think that would be the case. This particular person in New York was pulled over, and a New York City police officer asked for a $1,700 loan from a driver from Queens.
Wow.
And he was pulled over. A little unorthodox, sure. That could happen. You would think, maybe. I wouldn't think so, but you would think maybe. Let's see. It turns out that an NYPD cop was arrested Thursday for taking a $1,700 loan from a driver he pulled over during a car stop, according to prosecutors. Officer 29-year-old Armando Silvestri was in uniform and behind the wheel of a police cruiser the morning of March 1st when he turned on his emergency lights and siren and pulled over a man driving a Toyota Highlander on Hillside Avenue near 160th Street in Jamaica. Now, that's not the country of Jamaica. That's the actual city. He said, "I have a question real quick," Silvestri said after approaching the passenger side window to talk to the man. Do you happen to have $1,700 I could borrow?
It's not a weird question.
That's a bit of a strange question, right?
Yes.
You know, a bit weird. Um, I would think that was strange, right? Just, you know, do you happen to have a $1,700 I could borrow? The driver never complied, by the way, and the cop was suspended as a result of that strange question. I would think he would be suspended for asking that strange question. He is currently under review.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah, you can't say, you know, can I borrow $1,700? So
The limit's like 1,500. If you would have just gone a little lower,
yeah. There's
no
a
big deal.
there's a $1,500 limit there. Speaking of cops that are just a little outside the norm, or you know, getting the shaft, so to speak. This cop didn't get the shaft, but he did get battered nonetheless. A Powerball winner is behind bars for battering a cop.
Oh,
Yeah, an ex-con is jailed days after claiming his $167.3 million prize. Now, Jess, let me ask you this. You win the Powerball, right? Should be a happy occasion. You would think
yeah.
life is good for me now. I can eschew all my bad behavior. I'm a millionaire.
The world is my oyster.
Right. I don't have to resort to bad behavior anymore. I don't have to do anything bad in order to make money. I got the world by the balls, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
Right. I don't have to do anything bad. Well, of course, we're going to Florida for this story. Days after claiming a $167.3 million Powerball jackpot, a Kentucky man is behind bars, charged with kicking a cop in the face during a melee at an oceanfront hotel in Florida.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm. According to court records, a 50-year-old ex-convict, James Farthing, was arrested Tuesday evening on a felony and misdemeanor charges in connection with a fracas at the Tradewinds Resort in St. Pete Beach. Farthing was at the resort with, that can't be her real name,
What is it?
Jacqueline Fightmaster.
Wow. And he's kicking people in the face. What the heck?
Maybe you should leave it to the girlfriend.
Yeah. I mean, I'm picturing some really impressive, like high kicks to kick him in the face, you know, like
Oh, yeah.
Kung Fu style.
Right? I mean, yeah. Jacqueline Fightmaster, his 42-year-old girlfriend, was with him. Farthing and Fightmaster appeared Tuesday at a Kentucky lottery press conference announcing the Powerball winner, which Farthing is splitting with his 77-year-old mother. Well, that's admirable. You know,
Yeah.
I'll give you a
Good boy.
Yeah. Farthing, who won the April 26th Powerball drawing, purchased the winning ticket from Clark's Pumpkin Shop in Georgetown, which is a city 15 miles north of Lexington. Boy, if I
He went there just because he thought the name was funny.
I bet I had $1 for every time I pumpkin shopped. Mm-hmm. On Tuesday evening, one day after posing with an oversized jackpot winner check, Farthing punched a male victim in the face during an argument at the Tradewinds.
Wow.
You're a millionaire. Why?
Why?
I should show you a picture of this guy. Subsequent to that alleged battery, a sheriff's deputy sought to break up an in-progress fight between Farthing and another patron. This guy just screams class. By the way, here's what he and his girlfriend, the Fightmaster, look like. Does he look like
What a lovely couple.
I know, don't they? Don't they look like a match made in hell?
Well, I mean, I really like their matching orange jumpsuits, but
They do look fetching.
yeah.
It's no tiger stripe onesie, but
No, that would be next level, but
that would be next level. While interceding in the brawl, Deputy Nicholas Ariostatico, that's a name, Ariostatico, Nice name, deputy. Reported being kicked in the face by Farthing. Now, is it a karate kick or is it the straight up Kevin Nash boot to the face? You know, where you put your leg up that high and just into the boot?
I'm visualizing it. I mean, he has to be pretty limber to get his leg up that high, unless this officer is quite short.
The officer might be. Maybe he just kind of and then ran.
4'11" and
ran into
this other guy is 6'4".
Yeah, it could have been one of those deals. After reviewing body-worn camera footage, Statico, it could be Statico, stated he observed the defendant winding up his right leg, kicking your affiant in the face in an attempt to, he wound up and gave him a super kick.
How do you wind up your leg? I know how you wind up your arm, but like, how do you wind up your leg?
He gave him the old super kick, the Shawn Michaels super kick. He gave him the 1, 2, 3, and then boom, and he gave him the side super kick.
Oh.
Yeah. He wound up.
Oh, that's impressive.
Yep, he's winding up. He's tuning up the band like Shawn Michaels.
Man, if I did that, I'd be like, I pulled groin, I'm down. Medic.
Somebody watched too much mid-90s WWF.
You gotta be on something, right? Like, you just don't act like that unless you're stoned out of your mind on something.
He's just a wrestling fan, Jess. I'm telling you. He's just a wrestling fan who probably drank too much Jack Daniels that night.
That could be.
Yep. So he was winding up his right leg, kicking your affiant in the face in an attempt to injure or incapacitate myself. Either that or he watches too much AEW and he thinks he's one of the Young Bucks.
I mean, you can't pretend like it was an accident when you wound up your leg before you did the kick.
He was tuning up the band. And then he super kick.
Man.
It was a super kick party for Mr. Farthing.
I never heard of such a thing in real life.
I have to send you videos. It's quite actually, if you look at my Facebook page.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, let me see if I can pull it up.
Pull it up so I can see it.
Yeah. I'll show you what a super kick party looks like. Right here.
Super kick party.
That's a super kick party right there. That's one of the Young Bucks super kick partying me right there.
Oh, there you go.
That's a super kick party. That's what Mr. Farthing was doing.
He looked like he's about to kick you right in the face.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Did you get kicked in the face?
No.
Oh, I was going to say, do I have to have a talk with this young man?
Is that one of the Young Bucks or is that Adam Cole? I'm trying to remember. No, that's one of the Young Bucks. I don't remember if that's Adam Cole or if that's one of the Young Bucks. I guess it doesn't matter, does it? Let me see here. Is that? No, that's one of the Young Bucks that's kicking me in the face.
Yeah, but see, you're sitting down. How did he get this police officer in the face if he was standing up?
But see, okay. So if you look at the picture, now see, one of the Young Bucks is leaning up against the table so we can pose this picture so he can.
Right.
Normally they're running at full speed so they can kick somebody in the face like that.
My goodness.
Yeah.
To be so, I don't know, limber and talented with your body.
Yeah. But these guys do this all the time. I mean, they do this stuff all the time. That's their job. Mr. Farthing's job is to sit and collect his millions and just shut the F up, right? That's his deal. Anyways, simultaneously, Ms. Fightmaster, who should know how to super kick but doesn't, was actively engaging in an argument involving other guests and her boyfriend and was trying to, true to her name, fight the other patrons at the bar.
Wow. What a couple.
She was busted for causing a disturbance. Fightmaster appeared very intoxicated. See, I told you they were drinking Jack. And was yelling, screaming, and making incoherent statements. Farthing was booked into the county jail early Wednesday morning for battery on a law enforcement officer, a felony, and 2 misdemeanor counts. While bond has been set at $10,000 on the Florida felony rap, Farthing remains behind bars due to a Kentucky parole violator warrant.
Oh, my goodness.
It never stops. Kentucky Department of Corrections issued the warrant in response to Farthing's new arrest and the fact that he had left the state without the permission of a parole officer. So he thought just because I'm a millionaire, the law doesn't apply to me.
Wow.
Yep. Farthing supervision in Kentucky stems from his conviction and 14-year state prison term for, see, nobody ever wins the lottery that, I don't know, is an upstanding young man.
Yeah. Why can't they just give the money to good people like you and me, Tim?
Right. So he served a 14-year state prison term for an assortment of felonies, including theft, receiving stolen property, drug trafficking, promoting contraband, escape, tampering with physical evidence, and engaging in an organized criminal syndicate. But he also won the lottery, Jeff.
I feel like you shouldn't be able to win the lottery if you've done all those terrible things.
Right?
Because that's taxpayer money. I don't want to give my money to,
A criminal?
yeah, not really.
Feels kind of icky, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah. Farthing was granted parole in March of 2014, but subsequently returned to custody 3 separate times for violating terms of his release. He was last paroled in September of 2023. Farthing's term of supervision is scheduled to end in late August of 2025. But he won the lottery, Jeff. And got in a fight. Isn't that fun?
Wild. Yeah.
Our next story has to do with, it just gets better. A husband busted in a fight over a thermostat. I don't know if you and the hubby fight over the thermostat or not.
We do not. I did happen to say this morning, though, he needs to turn the air conditioner on because one of our dogs was having a heat stroke. It was too hot in our room. Not like a legit heat stroke, but Winston was up all night panting and walking around and drinking all his water and then pounding on the water to let me know he drank it all. And I barely slept at all. I mean, so the most fight we got in was like, can you turn the AC on tonight? And he said, sure, honey. Fight over.
Oh, that was intense.
It was. It was really intense. It was scary for a minute. I thought I was going to have to throw a watermelon at him or something.
If you kids fight like that all the time, I'm going to hire you both lawyers. Woo!
I started to wind up my leg, and he goes, "No, I'll be happy to turn that on for you, honey."
Did you what? Did you tune up the band? And he was like, no. I'm
He
walking.
knew what was coming.
Yep. A little sweet chin music. That's what Shawn Michaels calls it. You just tell him, hey, turn that thermostat up right now, or there's some sweet chin music in your future, buddy.
Oh,
yeah.
Do you fight with intern Yoko over the thermostat?
I have no say over the thermostat.
That's right. You shouldn't.
When you're in menopause, there's no.
That's right. Women get to decide.
That's why they make blankets. Right?
Get yourself a heated blanket and you just shut up. Sit over there and be happy.
This husband was busted in a fight over the thermostat. This 87-year-old man, oh my gosh, battered his wife over the AC. She's 85. I think at that age, you should quit giving people these hands.
Yes.
Probably riddled with arthritis.
Yes. I was going to say you should be too gnarled to be battering people.
Right. An 87-year-old Florida man was arrested yesterday for domestic battery after tangling with his wife when she sought to turn the air conditioning down in the couple's residence. Yikes. Along a source of marital strife, control of the thermostat triggered a 7 a.m. confrontation. 7 a.m. for them was probably late in the day. Just saying.
They've been up since 4.
Yeah, they're probably up since 3 or 4, yeah. They're probably up before the sun. They're probably up before the moon. That's how old they are. It triggered a 7 a.m. confrontation Monday between Charles Ingram and his 85-year-old bride. Investigators say Ingram returned to the couple's St. Petersburg home and argued with the victim, his wife, about the air conditioner. The woman touched the thermostat to turn the air down, prompting Ingram, that's a quote, prompting Ingram to allegedly push the victim away from the thermostat against the wall. Oh, that's not necessary.
Jeez.
When questioned by police, Ingram reportedly admitted to pushing her first and then stated that the victim pushed him back, as she should. Pictured here, I'll show you a picture of him in a second here, Jess. Ingram was arrested for domestic violence with the charge enhanced to a felony due to the prior battery convictions that he has that date back more than 4 decades. Ingram's rap sheet includes a 1985 felony welfare fraud conviction.
Oh boy.
God. Ingram is scheduled to appear in court. A judge will likely order him to have no contact with his wife. After what? 100 years of being together? Where's he going to sleep? On the street? And bar him from returning to the couple's residence, which they purchased in 1971.
Oh my gosh. He's probably been battering her for like 50 years.
They've been living together almost as long as I've been alive. That's
He just looks like a cute old man.
who will punch your ass out over
I
3
know.
on the thermostat.
He does have that look in his eyes, like, don't you touch my thermostat.
He does, doesn't he? His eyes
Mhm.
are just dark. They're dark and full of evil over 3 degrees on the thermostat. Thermostat woman. Well, thank God your hubby will turn the thermostat down for the dog.
It's more he was more concerned about Winston. He's like, oh, poor little buddy. I'm like, yeah, but I was up with him all night. I'm tired. Poor me.
Yeah, if he was so concerned, how
me.
come he didn't get up?
He doesn't hear anything. I swear to you.
You know what'll get him something? You just right across the head.
And I think, like, as a mom, I think you get programmed or something to hear all the little noises because he wasn't being really loud. He just was like, I could hear him panting. And then he was like, when he like sleeps snuggled up with me. So, of course, he was like right by my face, looking in my eyes, like,
Jess, it's not the mom thing. I sleep lighter than a feather because I have
do
pain.
you?
I hear everything. A mouse farts in my house and I wake up. It has nothing to do with anything.
That's how I am too. But I was never like that before I had kids. And then I had kids and now I'm like, I wake up over every little noise.
Mm-hmm. So you know what'll wake them up? Just right in the head.
A smack across the little battery.
Actually, a little battery actually just hit my microphone because I was so into that there. Sorry, I didn't mean to alarm the people listening.
My goodness.
Yeah, into it.
Beat him up.
Over the thermostat. It's just my thermostat rage coming out. I'm tired of freezing to death.
Oh, you poor thing.
I have the arthritis. Look at my hands. I used to have model-like hands. I don't have them anymore. This is from sleeping in 43 degrees below zero in my house.
He's worth it, Tim. She's just worth it all.
Nope. I'm leaving. Anyways, our next story is also a brawl.
Really?
Yep. Although this one's massive. This is the kind of brawl I would pay for.
Okay.
You ever seen a brawl on vacation?
Once in New York on the subway.
Oh, that's the best kind.
Yeah. It was magical.
It was magical. This would be even more magical. I want you to imagine a brawl with a buffet and unlimited drinks.
Ooh. Yes, I'm there.
Now, am I talking your kind of vacation?
Yeah. Who's fighting?
We're talking a massive brawl amongst a Carnival cruise and its passengers.
Oh my goodness. When you can't get away from it because you're in the ocean.
That's right. Now you're at sea. Now this is kind of like the Royal Rumble of brawls because the only way you're getting out is over the top deck. Over the Lido deck into the ocean, bitch. That's the only way to get this one, right? A massive brawl erupts among Carnival cruise passengers, landing 24 people on the do not sail list. I didn't even know they had a do not sail list.
I didn't either.
Well, now we know, right? The quote here is, "We will not tolerate such behavior," and 24 people have been placed on a do not sail list. That, according to a spokesperson for Carnival. A heated altercation involved dozens of Carnival cruise passengers. It resulted on 24 people being put on that list. The incident occurred in a cruise terminal in Galveston, Texas, following a 7-day cruise on the Carnival Jubilee. Let's find out more about it. That massive brawl following a Carnival cruise again resulted in 24 passengers being put on the do not sail list. The incident occurred inside a cruise terminal in Galveston, Texas on Saturday, April 26th, according to USA Today. Passengers had just disembarked on a 7-day Western Caribbean cruise on the Carnival Jubilee when the fight broke out. In a statement shared with People magazine, a spokesperson for Carnival confirmed that 24 passengers were banned from the cruise line as a result of the violent altercation. The incident occurred in the debarkation area under the authority of the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol. The matter was turned over to law enforcement. The statement reads, "We will not tolerate such behavior," and 24 people have been placed on our do not sail list. Footage of the brawl shared by Facebook user Trell Ray shows a group of rowdy passengers crowded around in what appears to be a baggage claim area. Dozens of suitcases can be seen in the background as several passengers seemingly begin to chase another passenger to a different area. The crowd breaks through barriers and knocks down signs during the chase before tackling a passenger to the ground. They appear to start punching and kicking the person on the ground as another person rushes to get out of the way. Security guards then approach the crowd to break up the fight. However, the brawl continues even after they arrive. Fellow travelers can be seen watching in shock in the background, while some even film the altercation. "It went down this morning," the user captioned in their post, followed by a double red exclamation point emoji. According to itinerary details shared on Cruise Mapper, the ship departed from Galveston on Saturday, April 19th, and made stops in Cozumel and Costa Maya in Mexico, as well as, I believe it is, Roatan Island in Honduras. The Jubilee returned to Galveston at 8 a.m. local time on Saturday, April 26th. I contend cruise ships get in way too early, and that's why people get owly and want to
Yes. Tired and cranky.
That's right, because you don't sleep that final night when you come in on the cruise ship, because you're like, well, we're going to get in so early. Why go to sleep, right?
Well, is that just like how it works all the time? Every cruise, you just get in super early?
Yeah, they bring you in at like the ass crack of dawn, and you don't want to sleep that little last bit. So you find things to do until you come in early in the morning. You're always in at like 6, 7 a.m. and then you have to debark. Now, this is not the first time a huge brawl has broken out on a Carnival cruise ship. Kind of fun. In June of 2022, a massive fight erupted on the dance floor at a nightclub on the Carnival Magic when it was sailing near the Verrazano Bridge in New York. There were reportedly 40 to 60 people involved in that incident. The New York PD told people at the time that the Coast Guard escorted the cruise ship to Pier 88, and the ship disembarked passengers without further incident. So, fighting on a cruise ship.
Why not?
I think it's kind of fun.
I've never been on a cruise ship. Now I know you got to stay up all night and then get in a brawl.
That's right. Well,
Them's the rules.
them's the rules. Maybe it's time we start our own cruise.
You should. That'd be fun.
Saying, maybe it's time. We need to hear from you, though, out there in the audience.
Who wants to go on a cruise?
That's right. Who wants to go on a cruise with us? So we'll have to figure one out. We'll have to get it started. All right, it's time now for the Not Safe for Work part of our program. If you have kids in the room, well, we've probably already changed their vocabulary permanently, but it's time to get them out of the room anyways, so they can't hear the next part of this program. If you're around at work and you got the boss around, well, it's time to put in earbuds. We'll have you do that in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The next one is purely having to do with words. Nothing but words, but there is a crime involved. I just like to say nutbush and cockfighting. Put them together. It makes me giggle.
Nutbush and cockfighting.
That's right, nutbush and cockfighting.
Putting that on a t-shirt.
That's right, the nutbush cockfight. It starts here. Second arrest has been made in the nutbush cockfighting operation. That's right, we go to Memphis, Tennessee. That's where my buddy Wayne D is doing his morning show. I wonder if he has ever put money down on the nutbush cockfight. I'm going to have to text him and ask. He's got money riding on that thing. A second arrest is made after a cockfighting operation where over 40 roosters and chickens were discovered at a Nutbush home earlier this month. Jose Naranjo is charged with 47 counts of aggravated nutting. No, I mean aggravated cruelty to animals, 4 counts of cruelty to animals, and 2 counts of cockfighting. Just where he whipped it out and started sword fighting.
Use it like a sword.
Yeah, just, you never cross the streams, though. You never cross the stream.
We all know that.
On April 9th, officers say they responded to an animal cruelty call at a home in the 1200 block of, wait for it, Wiener Road.
No,
Not making that up.
you are too. There's no way.
What does that say?
Wiener Road.
Yep.
What the heck?
Mm-hmm. You can't make it up. Nutbush cockfight on Wiener Road. I am not a third grader. I am a serious fucking journalist, and I'm going to get through this story. Homeland Security, with the assistance of several other agencies, giggled when they knew they had to go to Wiener Road. I mean, had been serving a warrant for narcotics at the home when they discovered a cockfighting operation with over 40 chickens and roosters in the backyard. That's when they called Memphis Animal Control. Officers say that most of the animals did not have proper shelter. Some were in cages, and some of the roosters were tethered. They also said a dead rooster was found in a cage along with 2 chicken and rooster skeletons, all in the backyard,
Oh.
Jess.
That's terrible.
It's terrible. The beaks on 2 of the roosters have been filed down. 3 of the roosters had their crowns taken off. So evidently there's dentistry work going on in the backyard. I didn't know about this. And leg weights were attached to some of the roosters. Yeah, I know. A stuffed rooster glove, often used to train roosters to attack other roosters, was found in the backyard. Several vitamins, steroids, and antibiotics often used in cockfighting were also found on the property. A bullet-resistant vest carrier and bullet-resistant vest were also found under a mattress in the bedroom. 1,480.
Gosh.
I know, they're serious about their cockfighting.
Well, when you live on Wiener Road, you kind of have to be.
Right? You got to be serious. I mean, it's life or death out there on Wiener Road. $1,488 in cash was found in the bedroom. Several baggies of a white powdered substance and a black scale were also found on the kitchen table.
Oh my goodness. So they're drug dealing cockfighters on Wiener Road.
Well, in order to get the cock hard, you got to have a little Coke.
It's not like too much alcohol. It doesn't make it limp.
No.
Okay.
Yep. That's a Scarface to tell you.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. In order to get the cock hard, you got to have a little Coke. Memphis Animal Control took custody of 44 live roosters and chickens. The remains of other 3 animals were there. I think we went through that part already. I think this is pretty much repeating itself. Police say Jose Naranjo and Perla Hernandez were the only known adults who lived at the home. However, Naranjo was not present on the scene. Hernandez was placed in Homeland Security's custody, but was later released without any charges from them. She was then arrested by the Memphis Police Department. Perla Hernandez, by the way, is 33 years old, is facing more than 50 counts of animal cruelty and 2 counts of cockfighting. She doesn't even have a cock. I mean, honored at the present time. I mean, they were all at the house. You know what I mean?
So she's definitely going to plead innocent at her trial.
Definitely not guilty. She's going to say, "Officer, I do not have a cock. It's not on me." She was released from jail on $10,000 bond and due back in court on June 2nd. Look at, she's got this look like, "I don't have a cock." She's got that look on her face.
She does. That is an I don't have a cock look if I ever saw one.
That is. By the way, she's due back in court today.
Oh, yeah.
Cinco de Mayo. Happy Cinco de Mayo.
That's not how she was planning to celebrate, but you know.
Yeah. Perla, happy Cinco de Mayo. Show us your cock. How it goes when you're going to court for that sort of stuff.
Oh, what a weird story.
it's just a story of double entendres
It's just a lot of wieners.
on Wiener Road.
Wieners and cocks.
Wieners and cocks and wieners and Nutbush. Thank you very much.
I kind of forgot about the nut bush.
Didn't you? I mean, it kind of got lost there, didn't it? But whenever you nut bush, it gets lost. I don't know what that means. Okay, now we're going to start a string of nude stories. Everybody's getting naked today. You forgot about that too, didn't you? That everybody was getting.
I did.
On Not Safe for Work. Everybody's getting naked today, including this guy that we're starting off this story with. If I can get this thing off my screen. There we go. A man is charged after allegedly breaking into a Lancaster County church while completely nude. Because he hasn't wanted to go to church completely in the buff.
I mean, he came into this world naked, so.
Tell me, Jess, does this look like an altar boy to you? Probably not.
He looks crazy.
He does look crazy, doesn't he?
His eyes have so much dark bags around them.
They do. Look, he looks like he hasn't slept.
Oh, I feel bad for him. He looks more tired than I am.
We go to Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, where a Lancaster County man is facing multiple charges after police say he burglarized a church while completely nude. 34-year-old, he's 34. Take a look at this man again. This man is 34 years old.
He's 64.
Yeah, I know. He looks like he's in his 50s or 60s. That's
oh my
34.
goodness. That's what living hard and robbing churches naked does to you, Tim. It ages you.
That's right. It ages you 30, 40 years older than what you are. 34-year-old Corey Calderwood was arrested on multiple charges, including burglary, indecent exposure, possession of a controlled substance, and drug paraphernalia following an incident on April 29th. Police say that officers responded to the 1000 block of East King Street on reports of an active burglary around 11:36 a.m. Yes, he did this in the middle of the day, Jess. He done stripped off all his clothes and decided to attack the altar.
I'm shocked that there was controlled substances involved, Tim.
I am too. Go figure, Jess. Officials on scene located Calderwood, who was seen breaking into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
No way.
Yes, he went after the LDS.
Wow.
While completely nude and under the influence of methamphetamine.
It all makes so much more sense now.
He was a complete meth at the time. And he said, tell me more stories about Joseph. Calderwood remains in Lancaster County Prison awaiting a May 19th preliminary hearing. Oh, and he's going to hear all about it too when the LDS shows up to try to convert him in jail. That's going to be fun.
Maybe they'll be like, no, not this one, guys. We have enough troubles.
I say that should be his penance. Don't jail him one day. Don't give him one day of a jail sentence. His penance.
Just every single young man who's supposed to be going out on his mission has to come and mission to him.
Yep, they have to mission to him. That's it. That's his penance right there. That's it.
I like that.
Every day for the rest of his life.
I think that might be cruel and unusual, Tim.
I think it's perfect. That's why I'm not a judge, Jess. That's why I'm not a judge.
Oh, I wish you were. Life would be funnier.
Our next story turns getting naked on an airplane into art.
Wow, naked on an airplane.
You know, recently we've had a slew of people wanting to get naked on an airplane. I think it was last week or the week before, it was a woman getting naked on an airplane and shitting in her seat. That was the coup de grace.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss of getting naked on an airplane, right? We thought we couldn't top that. Well, this week, it's about to get even more Horrid on the eyes. Is that a good?
How can it get worse than?
Oh, Jess, I'm about to assault your eyes through your brain even more because this time it's art. The Art Institute of Chicago is in turmoil after its president allegedly stripped on a plane. Don't take a sip of tea right now. Don't do it.
What?
Art Institute head James Rando allegedly disrupted a United Airlines flight to Munich, prompting a police response. Yes, it was the head of the Art Institute who felt he needed to undress.
Why?
He kind of did the "you fuck me, I'd fuck me" thing in the middle of an airplane. The growing epidemic of unruly air travelers has hit the art world this weekend when news broke that James Rondo, the president and director of the Art Institute of Chicago, which is kind of an oxymoron if you think of it, allegedly disrobed in the middle of a flight from the Windy City to Germany. Unnamed sources informed CBS News that Rondo, who has led the museum for nearly a decade, allegedly drank alcohol and took prescription medication, then removed his clothing while on United Airlines Flight 953, which traveled from Chicago to Munich on April 18th. Police were called to the flight after it landed in Munich, according to the New York Times. Via statement, the Art Institute of Chicago confirmed the report, saying that Rondo has returned to Chicago and is currently on voluntary leave from his position. What was his position? I mean, what position do you take in your seat once you're fully nude?
Once you're nude. Okay, I pulled him up on the internet and all the pictures are of him in a suit and he looks so serious and I'm just dying at the idea of this man just like stripping.
Can you imagine him naked in the seat?
No, I cannot imagine him naked.
The Art Institute takes this very seriously and has opened an independent investigation into the incident to gather all available information, hopefully not a picture of what was going on.
We must see it.
Oh, yeah, we need a picture. Art Institute leadership is meeting to determine next steps, according to them. Founded in 1879, the Art Institute of Chicago is one of the largest art museums in the U.S. with over 300,000 pieces in its permanent collection. A picture of him nude in his airline seat is not one of them, and over 30 special exhibitions a year. It's home to works such as Edward Hopper's Nighthawks, Georges Siret's A Sunday on Le Grand Jatte, which is the inspiration to Stephen Sondheim's Sunday in the Park with George. And contrary to the claims of President Donald Trump, Pierre-Auguste Renoir's Two Sisters on the Terrace. So, I know. Rondo was appointed as museum president and director in 2016, following the retirement of longtime leader Donald Druick. He's been at the Art Institute since 1998, first joining the organization as associate curator of contemporary art. Now, Art Institute tax records show, get this, Jess, that he is.
I can't hear you anymore. I can't hear you. Can you hear me? I can't hear you.
We can't hear each other.
There you go.
There we go. Now
Okay.
we can hear you.
Sorry, I don't know what happened. Okay, say it again. Were you saying how much money he makes?
Yes, he makes over $1 million annually.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
He makes $1 million a year to get naked on the flights.
He really messed that up.
Yeah, he did. United Airlines has not responded to Vanity Fair's request for comment. Who wrote this article? This is a Vanity Fair article. But the April 18th incident on Flight 953 is but one in a growing number of reports of unruly air travelers. According to data from the FAA, by the way, in-flight outbursts have sharply risen since 2019, prompting the agency to begin referring cases of passenger-related flight disruptions to the FBI. So far this year, the FAA has received 524 reports of unruly passengers. Guess how many were in 2024?
Half that. More or less?
More.
Really?
2,102
Oh,
reports last year
what?
of unruly passengers on flights.
Why?
Because people have lost their goddamn minds.
They really have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. People have absolutely lost their goddamn minds. I have no other way of putting it.
Yeah. Well, I get to fly a couple times in the next couple weeks. So lucky me.
I will pray for you each time you leave the ground, my friend.
Thanks, too.
Between the way, not to scare you, the way planes are coming down like they've been shot out
I
of the
know.
sky, and the way people act, although you know what, planes have the plane crash thing has settled down a little bit, but
Yeah.
you're going to end up with a naked art director in your lap. I'm pretty
Well,
sure.
I tell you what, if I do, Tim, I'm getting my camera out and I will send that video straight to you.
Please do. I need to see it. Yeah. Just somebody get naked and shitting in their seat. I need to see it.
I think I could go viral with that on TikTok. I could finally get a video that everyone likes.
Yes. We go from one naked extreme in an airplane to another. A man we call the birthday suit bandit.
Oh, I love that name.
Isn't that a great name?
It's really cute.
Birthday suit bandit. Let me show you a picture of him. And you determine to me whether you want the birthday suit bandit showing up at your house or not.
I do not.
Okay. we settled that. See, it didn't take very long at all, did it? He's no Cyrano de Bergerac, I'll tell you that. The headline on this one simply reads, naked Florida man caught trying to break into a woman's home. Deputies say birthday suit bandit. And Jess has made it perfectly clear she doesn't want him breaking into his home into her home at all. We go to Palm Coast, Florida, where a Florida man is being labeled as a birthday suit bandit by deputies after they said he tried to break into a Flagler County home while naked. 63-year-old, why is it always the old wrinkled guys who want to walk around naked? At the gym, at your home. Keep your shriveled little wiener to yourself. Am I wrong?
I guess with age comes freedom. You just feel free. You just don't care anymore.
That's called Alzheimer's disease. That's not freedom. That's your brain unhinged. Tell your nurse to keep you in your seatbelt in your chair.
Yes.
So that you can watch your daytime stories and leave it at that. Right?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
All right. 63-year-old Matthew Hunter of Palm Coast is now facing charges of attempted burglary, exposure of his sex organs, and criminal mischief, which is your trifecta right there. Yeah. That's your terrifically triple charges of mischief. On Saturday, April 26, shortly after midnight, the Flagler County Sheriff's Office said it received a 911 call about a nude man, which they said again. And they later identified him as Hunter, who was trying to break into a residence on Foxhall Lane in Palm Coast. By the way, did you see this picture on the left of him? He looks like he's got his hands on his head and he's running naked.
Yeah.
Doesn't that look like a Benny Hill skit to you? Can you hear that?
He has such skinny legs.
He does. He's got little chicken legs and a big backside. He's running away. The woman inside the home called 911 after she heard what sounded like a knife trying to cut through the lock on her front door. My question is, where is he keeping the knife?
Yeah. Ooh.
Why does this knife smell like ass? That's all I'm asking.
And why is he bleeding from his rectum?
Yes, right. There's a trail of blood coming out from behind your legs. When deputies arrived, they found Hunter walking away from the woman's house completely naked as described. They also discovered gouge marks on the doorframe and molding. According to an arrest report, Hunter is the woman's neighbor. Oh, great. So the neighbor is a streaker.
Oh, no.
Yeah. The affidavit states that the woman saw Hunter through her front window as he yelled that he was going to come inside the home and demanded that she open the door.
No.
Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin. Deputies later spoke with Hunter's wife at their home. Oh, great. Oh, humiliation time. Go talk to the wife, right?
This is so sad.
Who said her husband had been drinking heavily and was taking psychiatric medication. Again, strap him into his chair and let him watch his stories. She admitted she was afraid of him, but had no idea he had left their home as she had been asleep. Flagler County court records show that Hunter is expected to appear for an arraignment hearing on May 27th at 8:30 a.m. Great.
Yikes.
All right, Jess. I'm going to give you now a story that in the end, I believe can be solved with cooperation.
Okay.
You're going to say to me, you're smoking something, but no. I see a path to cooperation here.
Okay.
Now, you're going to say to me, well, there's no way. This place is being forced to close. I believe we can find a way around this. Here's the headline. Swingers Club in Plymouth forced to close its doors. Bear with me. Okay. There's a reason why. We go to Plymouth, Connecticut, where a swingers club in Plymouth is being forced to close its doors following a town meeting Tuesday night. The club had been open since a cease and desist letter was given on March 28th. The meeting was contentious and went on for hours, and club owner Steve Gagne and his wife, Jody, presented their arguments for why it should stay open. That you may not like what we do, you may not agree with it morally. All the people here do not agree with it morally, argued Jody Gagne. However, a pastor for the Riverside Baptist Church and dozens of parishioners said that the club was being illegally operated and violated zoning laws. The club's location, by the way, is 30 feet from the church.
Oh.
So you got the swingers here, you got the church here. Okay?
Yeah.
A little bit of a problem.
A little too close.
Maybe morally. Maybe morally they don't line up.
I mean, it makes it really easy for them to pray for them. They're right there.
Right. You got salvation over here. You got sinning over here. To me, it seems like a cyclical deal, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Here's the quote from Matt Marcello, who's a member of the church. As I pray daily for the growth and love and protection of my own family, I have prayed and continue to pray for the owners and members of the Wicked Fun Club. Which
the Wicked Fun Club.
Great name.
I love it.
The Wicked Fun Club, huh? It's almost like the Chuck E. Cheese of swingers clubs. It's got a great name. The Wicked.
You kind of want to go just to see what's happening.
Well, who doesn't like a little bit of wicked fun, right? I mean, if they called themselves the Swinging Sex Club, you'd be like, oh, no.
No, that sounds dirty.
Yeah, right? It sounds dirty, but wicked fun. You're like, oh, wicked fun.
Wicked fun, yeah.
It's like an East Coast thing. Wicked fun. That could be anything, right? It's wicked fun. The board said that the line in the appeal that read consenting adults engaged in adult sexual activities is what led them to vote to shut the club down. Now, the town has specific adult use regulations in place for businesses like adult bookstores and adult entertainment cabarets. Plymouth officials said that the club fits into the adult use category of businesses, and one requirement is to be 1,000 feet away from a church. So they're 30 feet away from the church. People at the meeting against the club stated that its existence is not just sinful behavior, but also lawless behavior. Our church shares a parking lot, and the operation happening there directly affects our congregation and families who use our building every week. We have no choice but to speak, said Assistant Pastor Anthony Frazier. Steve Gagne argued that the business is just a private members-only social club and doesn't fall into the adult category. So social club.
Right. We're just socializing and hanging out.
Right. It's just adults socializing. Keep social in mind as I continue to read. What our club is not, we are not a nightclub. We are not a dance club. We are not Dance Club. We do not serve alcohol. We are not open to the public as membership is mandatory. We are not a cabaret or adult entertainment venue. We do not allow drugs, smoking, or vaping anywhere inside the club. We are not a brothel or commercial sex establishment, Steve Gagne said. Important to remember. Not open to the public.
Right.
Okay. A club member also attended the meeting and believed that the community is being targeted for its moral beliefs and not its zoning. It's not about the discomfort of people living differently. And that's not a standard. That's a moral judgment. Frankly, it starts to feel a little familiar. The last time we punished people for their private behavior, well, it was the Salem witch trial, said club member David Epstein. It's wrong, but to whose standard it is it my standard or God's standard? I'm torn. It says, I'm torn tug of war here. If they're not hurting anybody and it's not out in someone's face and it's not, and in public showing, this is a weird statement, and in public showing everyone what it is, then why should it get closed down, said Tim Terwilliger from Bristol. I think they should let them do what they want to do. They were already in there, said Billy McFarland, who's a Bristol resident. Gagne said that he does not plan to file a lawsuit against the town and already is looking for a new location for the club. The club shutdown took effect immediately. The building's landlord said that he did not know what Gagne was going to use the space for and was going to start an eviction process. Now, here's the deal. I'm of a mind, Jess, that this is a misunderstanding, right?
Okay.
It's a couple of neighbors that don't associate with each other. And this isn't really a godly way to solve this, right? Now, at a church, when you want to get to know your neighbors, how do you get to know them? After services. I mean, you sit next to each other and sure, you shake hands. You say, peace be with you, right?
Yeah.
But after church, what do you do to get to know each other?
Have a cup of coffee and eat some cookies.
Or donuts.
Yeah. Donuts.
Right. And what do swingers do with donuts?
I don't know.
Well, they throw them on each other's cocks. So here's the deal. We could combine the two activities. We could have coffee and donuts, and we could do ring toss.
There you go. Everybody wins.
Everybody wins. And we get
Make some new friends.
the two communities get to know each other.
Club grows, the church grows.
See? And in the end, we all get to understand each other's communities a little better.
That's right. It's just a misunderstanding anyway, you know?
Misunderstanding. See? And that's why they call me the great misunderstood communicator.
Yes. You're a problem solver, Tim.
I am a problem solver or a problem starter, one or the other. I can't decide which. All right. Our final story today. And then I believe I have a palate cleanser here. Do I have a palate cleanser here? I thought I do. Is that my palate cleanser that I had up here? I thought I did.
That's okay if you don't. They haven't been too traumatic. They're funny today.
Okay. All right. So then I have my final story here and then we're done. Again, another naked guy.
All right.
This man is drunk and pantsless and tells police that his name was Charles Dickens.
Oh, I like it. That's clever.
All right. It was a tale of two identities. 56-year-old Vincent Conroy was allegedly drunk and walking around, of course, a Florida parking lot, wearing only a t-shirt with no pants. Early Wednesday morning, with his private parts on public display, Conroy was spotted with 2 wine bottles and a can of beer.
He's having a party.
He's having his own
That's too
party.
much. You don't have enough hands.
That's right. When confronted by police and asked to identify himself, the suspect provided only the name Charles Dickens. Obviously. That according to the arrest report. It was later discovered his name was Vincent Conroy. In addition to open container and exposure of sexual organs counts, Conroy was charged with providing a false name to law enforcement. After a day locked up in the local Bleak House, Conroy was freed on Thursday, not his lower self, but he was freed on his own recognizance by county judge. Conroy and Dickens, I have a picture of both of them. Neither look like the other, At least on the top half. I don't know about the bottom.
Yeah, clearly
You're watching the video.
not Charles Dickens.
Yeah, if you're watching the video, that's what they look like. So there you go. That is how we end Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals.
Oh boy, I'm excited to go to Florida.
Are you? Is that where you're headed?
Well, not this time, but we are going there on a little trip. I've never been, and when we booked the place we're staying, I was like, I don't know if this is safe. Florida's too weird.
Where? Can I ask where you're headed?
Oh my gosh. Okay, there's an island. All of a sudden, I can't think of it. Marco Island.
Okay, all right.
Is
I
it
think
safe there?
as long as you didn't say Pasco County, then I was going to say you're safe. Yeah.
I think we'll be surrounded by other tourists, so hopefully we're safe.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're good. Yeah. All right. Well, with that, do you have another book for the Hindustan Times to anticipate now? Are you close to publication?
Well, I will have actually 4 that come out in August, and yeah, 4.
At the same time?
Yes, they should space them out a little bit, but you can start buying them now and space them out yourself.
Jeez.
I know the Ghostly Tales of Ohio was already a bestseller on best-selling new release on Amazon, so that was fun to see.
So it's available for pre-order already.
It's already available for pre-order. I just went and updated my website on Sunday. I was like, I have some new books coming out. I better put them up there. I didn't realize they were already available for pre-order, so I haven't done a good job of shouting them out. But yeah, I'm excited. They're going to be fun ones.
All right. So Ghostly Tales of Ohio is already available for pre-order. Tell you what, we'll put, just to get it pumped up even more, we'll put a link to it in the description of this program. So
All right.
You can go pre-order Ghostly Tales of Ohio and make the people at the Hindustan Times nervous. So
Yes, you could also get the Ghosts of the Wild West. That was one of my favorite ones to write, so I'm stoked for that one to come out.
all right, we'll put that one up too. Ghosts of the Wild West. All right. Jeez, what is this with flooding the market? I mean,
No. And they were talking to us about the next ones they wanted 4 more for next year, and we had to say we can only do 3. For the love of God. We have families and other things that we're trying to do. So
gotta tell them, how about 1 a quarter instead of 4 at the same time? Do they believe in quarterly
I
release?
don't know. Well, because they're regional, and so I think they figure, they're mostly regional people. The way they market them, their marketing strategy. But
Huh.
yeah,
Interesting.
I don't know. I'm not in charge. I just write the books.
See,
I can't wait to tell you what we're writing next, though. But I can't because we can't until they release this. But there's a really fun one in there that I'm super stoked about writing.
all right. Well, when these 4 come out, we'll have to have you back on the program to talk about it. Maybe we'll have to space that over a couple of programs. Maybe 2 and talk about 2, and then the other 2 and talk about the other 2. Because 4, how do you cover them all?
No. I was supposed to have a 5th one come out this year as well, but I think we're gonna actually put it out at the beginning of next year because I just can't keep up. Running out of writing time.
Jeez. Yeah. Wow. Okay. All right. Okay. So we'll put links to those 2 books up. And then, I mean, they'll see everything like on an Amazon page, right? Everything that's
Yeah. I mean, I could just share my author page on my website.
Yeah,
I just
we'll-
updated it. They're all on there.
All right. All right. We'll share the author page so you can get all of them there at the author page. Okay. So this week, Supernatural News tomorrow. And then, this week, Jess, speaking of books,
Yeah.
we have an old friend coming back to the program, and we're going to be talking about aliens in the end times.
Ooh.
That's all I'll say.
All right.
for
Such a
today.
tease.
Tomorrow I'll tell you more about it, but it's going to be an interesting program. So
Well, I'll be listening.
I appreciate that. So yeah, interesting week this week here on Darkness Radio. So that's about it for that. All right. Again, Apple app, make sure you got it on your device. Store, make sure you check it out. And the YouTube channel. the original Darkness Radio. If you're not, if you're just listening to the program on audio, make sure you check out the video as well. The original Darkness Radio. Make sure you like and subscribe. That's all I got for you for today. For Jessica Freeburg, I'm Tim Dennis. Thank you so much for tuning in to the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday.
For more audio and video archives of True Crime Tuesday, intriguing content, and cool swag, check out darknessradioshow.com. The executive producer of True Crime Tuesday is Troy Palmer. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. And be sure to join us tomorrow for Supernatural News and Para Share with Mally Fox.